of Nigeria. I have been an unapologetic and unrepentant advocate of regional approach to all the things we do in Nigeria. I do not have confidence. Some people have said, hey, why do you want to conduct presidential election first, as opposed to the system we're used to, National Assembly, Gubernatorial Assembly, and Presidential? And some people are saying that, oh, you want to conduct the presidential election first because you want to confer an undue advantage on the incumbent president. And there's also a school of thought that says that let's conduct all the elections in one day. A fiasco. How we're going to do that, I don't know.
Which school of thought do you subscribe to?
To be honest with you, the attraction that political offices hold are such that if we don't look at it critically, and then we don't find a way of ensuring that sleaze money does not go around, we'll continue to go around in circles.
You still haven't answered which one did you say?
I will subscribe to retention of the old order of election, because if you change it now, except to convince us that there are comparative advantages that would likely to benefit in having the presidential election first. Otherwise, why change the rule of the game? Why not from bottom to the top that we used to?
Why very quickly, I should first make a distinction about two matters which my colleagues have said. Pre-election matters have no time limitation. And that's why in our proposal to the National Assembly, we have said, look, pre-elections matter, you should have time limit. In line with section 285 of the Constitution, that says at the tribunal should be 180 days. At the Court of Appeal, it should be 60 days, and Supreme Court 60 days. But in many cases, it's instructive to note that section 246 subsection 3 of the previous Constitution was to the fact that governorship election matters should terminate at the Court of Appeal, at the final court. But I don't know which value that we have added by now taking it to the Supreme Court at the moment. However, but with respect to election, post-election matters, they've all terminated. But all the pre-election matters are still on interminably as it is. With respect to the timetable, it should be noted that as a body, as a creation of law, we act within the four walls of the Constitution of the fatherland. Nobody, including my good friend, has said that we have acted outside the law. The issue they are raising are subjective matters. Electoral process or election is a contest of advantage of interest. So political parties can begin to make a permutation. But as an umpire, we should not be, nobody trying to make us a prophet to be able to foretell which election will affect this or which will not affect the other.
Before you finish, because what you're saying points to the fact that you don't want them to hold you responsible in a certain way. But the bottom line in all of this is the question remains, why change what has been working?
We have not changed the order of elections. And I will explain to you.
You're having presidential elections.
Let me explain to you.
Yes.
The National Assembly is, if you look at, that's why I gave you the chapter of the Constitution clearly, section 76. It says National Assembly. After National Assembly, presidential election, section 132. Section 173 of chapter 6, part 2 is governorship election. That's the order. If you look at the Electoral Act, section 25, you also see the same order there. Now, there are questions about...
We haven't amended the Constitution anyway.
No,
2011.
No.
These provisions you cited were there, and we had the...
No, listen, in the last election, let me inform you. I want to show you, that's where I'm going to now. The difference in what they see as different from what happened before. In 2011, we were to have the National Assembly election on the 2nd. It was postponed to the 9th. Then after that, the presidential election. Now, there's a growing concern about the budget of INEC. The question is, if you look at the best all over the world, normally we have federal elections first. If we go back to the First Republic, you recall very well, the 1964 federal election before you call regional elections. Now, in 2011, we did separate elections, like 1, 2, 3, 4 elections. Now, what we have done is this, because of the resources, we are talking about budgeting now. You know, the National Assembly and the presidential, they go together. All right? The National Assembly presidential election. Now, if you are going to use the same amount of money, cost, to do the election separately, and both of them actually go together, you do those things together for cost, as well also do the state assembly and the, what do you call it, governorship and state assembly election. Now, if you look at this chart, you see, I have thought that the glory of a king should reflect on the life of the citizens. As you can see, all the billions we hear about INEC, it are going to do with the ordinary staff of INEC. Well, who are the big spenders? The big spenders are ad hoc staff. You can see, these are the ad hoc staff. These are the big spenders. They consume a total of over 38% of the entire budget. Now, compared to US, compared to UK, now, in all those places, you hear about what they call volunteers. The moment we really have people who are committed to this country, say, look, let us volunteer for our country. This whole budget will drop down.
So you are saying then that, just to move it quickly,
I need to make this point very clear here. At the moment, Nigeria, we are talking about 73.5 million registered voters, barring the ongoing artists after the figure that will come eventually. Is the fact that we are beyond all over the world. The standard is $12 per registered voter. What do we spend in Nigeria? It's about $8. Now we are below Kenya by 102%. We are slightly above Lesotho, which is like Mushin or one small local government or one of the biggest local government we have around here as a country by just 12%. We are slightly above Liberia with just 22%.
In terms of the budget.
Right now, resources is very key. Now back to the question again. What we have done, having regard to the fact that if you are going to spend 100 million to do the two arms of government that go together, separated by spending 200 million, why don't you spend 100 million and have those elections in one day? Then there's another argument that why don't you do all the elections in one day? They have also forgotten that a precise to do all elections in one day will mean that we are going to issue 5 ballot papers to an electorate. Some of them using 5 ballot papers on a day to an electorate. Do you know the implication of that? I was in Kenya. Kenya issued 7 ballot papers because they had all the election one day. What was the result? Election was conducted on the 4th. The system almost broke down. They could only declare the result on the 9th of March. Could that happen in Nigeria?
5 days.
5 days after they could declare the result in Kenya. Now, by having 3 elections even in one day, that is the Senate, the House of Representatives, and the Presidential, then we are going to issue 3 ballot papers to the majority of people who vote are our parents in the villages who are not literate. I conducted the election for the UPU, an organization that existed for 82 years in December 7th, where we gave only 7 ballot papers to people who come and see the invalid, spoiled ballot, everything. So we must not incubate electoral process with kill time constraints. You are going to sort them out. You are going to count them by the presiding officer who will sign, who will stamp. At the end of the day, what is the time frame for the election? In the US, the election, the poll will open by 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock and will terminate by 9 o'clock in the evening. But what we are moving out to now with the PVC that we are going to come up with, I was just trying to demonstrate to you that if our country we are committed to doing the right thing, if we can arrest all the electoral bandits in this country and we build more prison and jail all of them and all that, we will not have problem in this country because the problem is we now. Because look at this ballot, what do you call
voters card.
This was Gobadia's time. In other parts of the world, what you need to do, once you write your name on the register, you just write your name here and all that. There will be no problem. But in Nigeria, the political class will take all of them, mop all of them from the voters. Now from there, we proceeded to Ibu's era, where we now have this kind of voters card. Now, from what happened here, we also saw the challenges and all that. And now we are increasing the cost of election in the country. Now, we now came to our time, what you call the temporary voters card, which we used the other time. Now, it's going to be replaced with something like this, not exactly the permanent voters card. Now, when you come to the polling unit on election day, as my friend has just said, simply, what we have done that this card reader is configured to one PU. It's not transferable. You can only use your card like your ATM machine. Once you have exhausted the 100,000 naira, you like go to Ibadan, go anywhere, you cannot withdraw anymore. So when you approach the presiding officer on that very day, unlike it's not where we may have to wait till 12 o'clock. Once you come to the polling unit, you approach the presiding officer, they will swipe this in here. All right? The picture, you can see this light will come out. Your picture clearly will show. You can erase all your information, your name, your date of birth, and all that. Not done, we are going to request you, because before it will accept you, we must ensure that your template matches what is in the system. Yeah. All right? You have to do that first. Now, at the same time, we also are cognizant of the fact that we must also print, if for example, you have 100 people on this polling unit, we also will print a hard copy and have it here. Now, what we are doing is to map out.
Unfortunately, we will have to wrap up. The information that you've given is very, very excellent. It's quite useful. Very encouraging to know that all of this is happening. But as part of wrapping up now, what do you say? We do have some reactions from home. We will take that, but we have to wrap up now. But in terms of your final word, what's your thought on the fact that the reason for the presidential election and National Assembly elections being merged and being held on the same day, it's all down to money?
I remain unpersuaded. Okay. If we had done it before, I agree that it's about money.
It's the same election.
It's the same election.
Yes.
But I believe that in building confidence, in letting people know this constitution was there in 2011 when you had that order. Why is it want to change it? This is important to me. Is that all of these things you have said, as I rightly observed, they're very encouraging. But we're waiting for you in Ekiti. We're also waiting for you in Osun.
That's true.
When you do that,
yes,
and people are happy that the votes of the people have been counted and true winners have been matched, then we can begin to have hope that 2015 we may well justify.
All right.
I have a very disheartening contribution here from Oladaya, who says even staff of federal universities are involved in electoral malpractices. Like during my NYSC, my SPO said cooperate with them.
Okay, well, this one is from Doyin Kasum. It says, although no system is 100% tamper-proof, electronic voting is much more efficient than manual voting or voting around the computer.
Austin, all Nigerian politicians cannot be planning to rig elections and expect INEC operatives to provide 100% foolproof process.
Okay, and then Famurua says, why can't INEC press for the implementation of a Ways report, which is meant to strengthen
the job of the National Assembly? We have this solution already.
Institution.
Ibrahim Tafida, how long do we need and what will it take to conduct electronic election in Nigeria?
Okay.
National Assembly.
All right, I will take just one more, and this one is, I'm not sure I can say. Okay, it's from someone called Otumba. It says, Mike Igini is thorough in his approach, but has forgotten that he is dealing with a more complex society. What politicians do mostly is to write results a day before the election.
That was before. Not anymore.
Okay, that's all right. We're hoping that will be yes.
Why has the Anambra INEC official who colluded with riggers in 2013 not been prosecuted?
It's already been prosecuted. It's in court already.
All right.
Okay. I'm already outside there. This thing.
So on that note, we will have to wrap up now.
Yeah, just as we wrap up.
Yes.
It's instructed because of the question raised here.
Service.
You can see. 300 NYC.
Okay.
Now, are we going to apply to God to now help people to conduct election? We are moving away from system.
That one is a systemic problem.
Now, when I talk about stakeholders, what is the role of other stakeholders?
Mark, thank you very much. Mike Igene is the Western Electoral Commissioner for Cross River State, and Mr. B.C. Adegbuyi, a legal practitioner and a politician.
Opposition politician.
Okay, thank you very much for coming on the show. Sunrise will go on a break, but just before we go on a break, let me bring this. We have our Economy in Focus, a special report that we bring you every Saturday now. And this week, during the week, discussions on the needed input from the government, financial institutions, power generating and distributing companies and other stakeholders to ensure power stability in Nigeria topped the discussion at Power Sector Financing Conference held at the Presidential Villa in Abuja. The conference, which had as its theme private sector financing and support for the power sector and infrastructure, provided a forum for interaction between new investors and financial institutions in Nigeria. On our Focus on the Economy today, our business correspondent Chimezie Obiwagu takes a look at the power situation in the country.